Hi, I'm going to show you how to factor using reverse FOIL. There are multiple ways to go about doing this. I'm going to show you the method that I've been talking about in the classroom. It is the same concept as what we do if you were doing the X method of factoring, where you put a number in the top of the X and the bottom of the X, and then figure out what makes it work. Or even if you do factor by grouping to solve these. They all start with this first step over here. You multiply the A and the C term together. In this case, the 12 times negative 21. It gives me a negative 252. To make my math quicker and easier to do, I'm going to go into my calculator, my graphing calculator, and in the y equals, I'm going to type in the 252 divided by x. This will allow me to go to my table, and I will see all the multiples of 252, things that multiply and give me 252, and I'm looking for the b term, so finding factors that add or subtract to be the b term, and I'm going to subtract them because it says negative 252. And so 9 and 28, when you do 28 take away 9, you get 19. So those are the two numbers that make the middle term of 19. And so in my parentheses, I'll put x and 28 and x and 9. I need to determine what signs make the negative 19, so it's negative 28 and positive 9. Next, I'm going to divide by the a term, which was 12. So you divide them by 12 and you get fractions. Always reduce your fractions. And once you've reduced your fractions, whatever number is on the bottom, the denominator, goes in front of the x. So here you would end up with 3x minus 7, and this would be 4x plus 3. You could quickly check to see if your math is right by just multiplying the first times the first, which is indeed 12, and the negative 7 times 3 is the negative 21. And so because the first term and the last term gave you the 12 and the 21, I feel very confident in my math. Now let's try another one. Again, the first step is A times C, 12 times 45. So that's a positive 540. In y equals, I type in 540 divided by x. I go to my table, and this time I'm looking for addition because it's a plus sign. Two numbers that add up to be the middle term of 64, and that would be 10 and 54. So in my parentheses, I put the 10 and the 54. I figure out what's the correct signs to make negative 64, so they're both negative. Divide by the a term, divide by the 12, reduce my fractions, and whatever's on the denominator goes in front of the x, and I end up with this as my final factored form. Again, quick check, 6 times 2 is indeed 12, and negative 5 times negative 9 is a positive 45. All right, one more. A times C is 12 times negative 42, which is negative 504. Put that into y equals, go to your table, and find two numbers that subtract to make 65, and that would be 72 minus 7. So I put the 72 and the 7 in here, figure out what signs make positive 65, divide by the a term, reduce your fractions. Now this one comes out to be a whole number 6, and the second one doesn't even reduce at all, but that's okay. Whatever's on the bottom, the denominator, goes in front of the x. And if you check it, 12 times 1 is 12, and 6 times negative 7 is negative 42. So it all checks out, and that's how you do factor with reverse FOIL.